Robert was 68 years old, and he did everything right. He took his medications, he watched his sodium, and he followed the exact sleep routine recommended by countless health magazines to get a full 8 hours. But at 4:15 a.m. on a Tuesday, his wife woke up to a sound she will never forget. Robert wasn't snoring. He was gasping. 20 minutes later, the paramedics were in their bedroom and Robert was fighting for his life against a massive, silent heart attack. Here is the terrifying truth that is filling up emergency rooms every single night. The event that almost killed Robert was not caused by a sudden spike in cholesterol or a skipped pill. It was triggered by a seemingly harmless piece of sleep advice that millions of people over the age of 60 follow religiously every single night. We are told constantly that getting perfect, uninterrupted sleep is the ultimate key to longevity. We are given rules about how to lie down, what to drink before bed, and how to position our bodies to stop waking up at 2 a.m. But nobody is looking at what those specific rules are doing to an aging cardiovascular system while you are completely unconscious. Tonight, across the country, countless men and women will get into bed and unknowingly place a mechanical chokehold on their own hearts. They will wake up feeling groggy, with a heavy chest or a slight numbness in their arm, and they will blame it on sleeping funny or just getting older. They have no idea they just survived a microscopic cardiac event. I am going to show you exactly what Robert did before turning off the lamp, why your heart is uniquely vulnerable between the hours of 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., and the simple adjustment you must make tonight to ensure you wake up safe tomorrow morning.
My name is Dr. Marcus Caldwell, and I am a cardiothoracic surgeon. For the better part of 2 decades, I have stood in freezing operating rooms, opened chests, and held beating human hearts in my own 2 hands. I have seen exactly what years of hidden damage looks like up close, long before it ever shows up on a standard EKG. But what frustrates me more than anything is the medical system you are forced to navigate. When you sit in a clinic, you get exactly 7 minutes with a doctor who is overworked, exhausted, and mandated by hospital administration to just write a prescription and move on to the next room. That is not healthcare. That is an assembly line. I am stepping out of the operating room and speaking to you here because you deserve the absolute truth about your heart that those 7-minute appointments simply do not allow. And what I am going to share with you next changes everything you thought you knew about your nightly routine.
For decades, the medical establishment and their outdated health guidelines have pushed a very rigid, universal narrative about sleep. If you walk into any standard clinic today, the advice you receive is always the same. They tell you that you must force yourself to get 8 continuous hours of unbroken sleep. They tell you to drink a large glass of water right before getting into bed to prevent morning dehydration and strokes. They tell you to sleep perfectly flat on your back to align your aging spine. And if you happen to wake up in the middle of the night, they just hand you a prescription pill to force your brain back into an unnatural state of unconsciousness. They print these rules in every single health magazine, and they repeat them like a broken record during those rushed, superficial 7-minute appointments. But here is the catastrophic flaw in those rigid guidelines, a flaw that the modern medical system simply refuses to acknowledge. Those rules were written based on the resilient biology of a 30-year-old. They treat your cardiovascular system as if it has not changed, as if your blood vessels and heart valves process gravity and fluid exactly the same way they did 3 decades ago. The system never updated the manual for you. They just kept handing you the same old, dangerous advice, expecting your aging heart to handle the immense nighttime load without a single complaint. And I know exactly how incredibly frustrating this is for you. You are sitting there at home, genuinely trying to do everything right. You read the articles, you listen to the morning health shows, you follow the doctor's advice. You lie down in the exact position you are supposed to, you drink the water, you take the pills, all hoping to protect your health and maintain your hard-earned independence. yet you still wake up feeling utterly exhausted, deeply anxious, or with a heart that is racing for absolutely no apparent reason. Listen to me very carefully right now. If you have been experiencing that morning brain fog, that strange, dull heaviness in your chest at dawn, or if you ever wake up suddenly gasping for air like Robert did, it is not your fault. You have not failed. You have not been negligent with your health. You have been following a set of outdated rules that were biologically destined to fail your heart. The blame rests entirely on a medical system that is too arrogant to update its generalized guidelines, and far too rushed to sit down and explain the delicate nuances of an aging cardiovascular system to the people who need it most. They gave you a map for the wrong territory. You did the absolute best you could with the information you were given by the authorities you trusted. You are the victim of a system that prioritizes quick, one-size-fits-all answers over true, personalized physiological care. When you follow their advice, when you lie perfectly flat on your back after forcing down that recommended glass of water, you are unknowingly creating a massive fluid trap inside your own body. Gravity is no longer your friend in these outdated positions. Over the silent course of the night, the fluid shifts, the pressure violently builds, and your heart is suddenly forced to work 3 times as hard while your brain is supposed to be resting. Your heart is fighting a terrifying, silent battle in the dark, and the only warning signs you ever get are those subtle, easily ignored symptoms you feel when you first open your eyes in the morning. But understanding that you have been misled by outdated guidelines is only the first piece of this puzzle. To truly protect yourself tonight, you need to see what is actually happening inside your chest while you sleep. What exactly is going on inside your arteries at 3 a.m. when this hidden pressure hits its absolute peak? The biological mechanics of this midnight danger zone will completely change how you view your own body.
To understand why this is happening to you, we need to look at the remarkable engineering of your own body and how that engineering fundamentally changes after your 60th birthday. When you are in your 20s or 30s, your heart is an over-engineered powerhouse. The muscle tissue is incredibly pliable, your blood vessels are highly elastic, and your kidneys work at a furious pace to filter out excess fluid. In those younger years, you can drink a large volume of water, collapse flat on your back, and your body easily manages the load. But as we age, a beautifully natural evolution occurs within our cardiovascular system. The tissues in your heart become slightly thicker. The vessels lose a fraction of their youthful elasticity. This is not a disease. This is simply the normal, dignified aging of a complex machine that has kept you alive for decades. But this natural change means your system requires a different kind of care, specifically when it comes to managing volume and pressure. Every single day as you walk around, sit, or stand, gravity is constantly pulling the fluids inside your body downwards. By the evening, a significant amount of microscopic fluid has quietly pooled in your legs, your ankles, and your lower extremities. You might not even notice it. Your ankles might not look visibly swollen, but the fluid is there, hiding in the interstitial spaces of your tissue. Now, picture what happens the moment you follow that popular advice to drink a large glass of water right before getting into bed, and then you lie perfectly flat on your back for the night. You have just created a perfect physiological storm. The second you lie horizontal, gravity stops keeping that fluid in your lower body. All of that pooled liquid in your legs suddenly shifts. It rushes upwards, acting like a massive, invisible tidal wave surging directly into your chest cavity and flooding your lungs and your heart. At the exact same time, the extra water you just drank adds even more volume to your bloodstream. Because you are asleep, your kidneys have naturally slowed down their filtration process. They cannot clear this sudden flood of liquid quickly enough. So where does all this extra heavy fluid go? It slams directly into your aging heart. While you are completely unconscious, thinking you are getting the healthy rest you deserve, your heart is suddenly forced into an absolute state of panic.
It has to pump a massively increased volume of thick, heavy fluid against the sheer resistance of your body weight. As the fluid fills the chambers of your heart, the walls of your atria stretch far beyond their comfortable capacity. When cardiac tissue stretches too far, it physically agitates the delicate electrical pathways that control your heartbeat. This is why you might experience strange palpitations in the dark. The heart struggles, it stutters, and it works 3 times as hard while your brain is desperately trying to sleep. This immense, silent struggle usually peaks right between 3 and 6 in the morning. If the pressure becomes too great, your brain senses that your heart is essentially drowning in its own fluid. In a desperate attempt to save your life, your nervous system violently dumps adrenaline and cortisol into your bloodstream. This chemical shock is what violently jolts you awake. It's what causes you to gasp for air, wake up with a racing pulse, or feel that terrifying, heavy anxiety in your chest right at dawn. Your body was literally waking you up to keep you from suffocating from the inside out. Think of your cardiovascular system after 60 not as rigid plumbing, but like a majestic, historically built dam that has perfectly controlled a steady river for a lifetime. The stone is incredibly solid, but it has weathered over the years. When you lie perfectly flat and flood your system with late-night water, you are suddenly opening the floodgates upstream. A massive, unexpected tidal wave crashes against that weathered stone in the dead of night. The structure does not collapse immediately, but under that immense, unnatural pressure, tiny, silent stress fractures begin to form deep inside the foundation. Night after night, the pressure weakens the integrity of the walls, until one day the system simply cannot hold the water back anymore. This is not just a theory I have developed from years in the operating room. A landmark clinical observation published in major cardiovascular and respiratory journals documented this exact phenomenon. Researchers tracked the nocturnal fluid shifts in older adults and found that when lying flat, fluid shifting from the lower body back to the chest increases cardiac filling pressure by a staggering margin. This heavily strains the cardiac muscle and directly triggers severe sleep-disordered breathing and dangerous cardiac events in the early morning hours. Science has proven that the way you rest can either heal your heart or quietly destroy it. The damage happening inside your chest at 4 in the morning is terrifying, but it's completely preventable. You don't need a new prescription to fix this, and you absolutely do not need to schedule a dangerous surgery. You just need to change the mechanics of your night. There's a precise, simple adjustment you can make to your routine this evening that will instantly stop this fluid shift, protect your heart's delicate electrical system, and give you the safest, deepest sleep you've had in years. The exact protocol is remarkably easy to implement.
The absolute greatest fear I hear from my patients over the age of 60 is the quiet terror of not waking up. The dread of suffering a silent heart attack or stroke right in the middle of the night. You go to bed feeling completely fine, and your life changes forever in the dark. But the solution to protecting your cardiovascular system tonight does not involve a surgeon's scalpel, and it certainly does not require you to take yet another heavy medication that leaves you suffering from extreme fatigue and mental brain fog the next day. You are looking for natural, simple solutions that actually respect your aging biology. You want actionable steps that cost absolutely no money and can be implemented right now in your own bedroom to support your biology safely. I am going to give you a 4-step nighttime protocol that you can start this very evening to completely reverse the nighttime fluid shift and shield your heart from this invisible pressure. Step number 1 is the evening fluid curfew. You must completely ignore the outdated advice telling you to chug a massive glass of water right before your head hits the pillow. If you are thirsty, take small, measured sips to wet your mouth, but your heavy hydration must absolutely stop at least 3 hours before you plan to go to sleep. By establishing this strict curfew, you give your kidneys the exact amount of time they need while you are still awake and upright to filter out the excess volume. You are essentially draining the reservoir before the dam has to face the midnight flood. If you are taking prescribed diuretics, do not stop taking them, but absolutely write this down and ask your doctor if the timing of your medication can be adjusted so you are not fighting fluid retention while you sleep. Step number 2 is what I call the pre-bed activation. This is a brilliant 60-second trick that manually pumps the hidden fluid out of your lower extremities before you even lie down. About 30 minutes before you get into bed, stand near a wall for balance and simply rise up on your toes, flexing your calf muscles firmly, and then slowly lower your heels back down. Do this gently for just 1 minute. Your calf muscles act as a powerful secondary heart for your lower body. When you flex them repeatedly while you are still standing, you actively squeeze the pooled interstitial fluid out of your tissue and push it back up into your bloodstream while your kidneys are still active. You are essentially draining the reservoir before the dam has to face the midnight flood. If you are taking prescribed diuretics, do not stop taking them, but absolutely write this down and ask your doctor if the timing of your medication can be adjusted so you are not fighting fluid retention while you sleep. Step number 3 is the elevation shift. We have established that lying perfectly flat is an outdated, dangerous position for a heart managing fluid shifts. Tonight, you need to enlist gravity as your ultimate protector. You do not need an expensive hospital bed to do this. You simply need to elevate the head of your bed by about 3 to 4 inches, or use a firm wedge pillow that raises your entire upper torso, not just your neck. By creating this very slight, gentle incline, you physically prevent any remaining fluid in your lower body from aggressively pooling in your lungs and pressing against your heart valves. You are taking the suffocating mechanical load off your cardiovascular system, allowing your heart to finally pump with ease, efficiency, and a calm, steady rhythm all night long. Step number 4 is the morning transition. When you wake up tomorrow morning, do not immediately throw off the covers and jump to your feet. Your blood pressure needs a moment to recalibrate from the safe, elevated resting state you just created. Sit on the edge of your bed, plant your feet firmly on the floor, and practice deep, rhythmic breathing for exactly 60 seconds. Breathe in deeply through your nose, letting your belly expand, and exhale slowly through your mouth. This simple 60-second technique actively stabilizes your vascular system, preventing that sudden, dangerous spike in blood pressure that often triggers morning dizziness or early strokes. The science behind why this 4-step protocol works so beautifully is grounded in the absolute fundamentals of human physiology. By managing your fluid intake, physically pumping the excess out of your legs, using gravity to your advantage, and stabilizing your morning transition, you are completely eliminating the midnight cardiac stretch. Your heart valves no longer have to fight against a massive, unnatural volume of heavy liquid. Your nervous system stays calm, your adrenaline remains perfectly leveled, and you actually achieve the deep, restorative sleep that physically heals your body. You are working brilliantly with your biology rather than fighting a losing battle against it. I know that for so long you have felt completely powerless sitting in those rushed, impersonal 7-minute consultations where you are treated just like another number on a chart. You do not have to accept exhaustion and fear as a normal part of getting older. You understand profoundly that true health is about prioritizing your quality of life, dignity, and independence above all else. By using this protocol tonight, you are taking the reins back. You are protecting your heart with knowledge that the rushed medical system simply did not have the time to explain to you. But protecting your heart from midnight fluid shifts is solving half of the cardiovascular equation. Tomorrow morning, when you walk into your kitchen to make breakfast, there is a very common, widely praised morning habit that is silently calcifying the exact same arteries you just worked so hard to protect tonight.
Before you close this page, I need you to do something vitally important for me and for yourself. Go down to the comments right now and tell me exactly how you felt when you woke up this morning. Did you experience that heavy fatigue, the sudden racing heart, or the brain fog we just talked about? Write it down.
I read these comments, and when you share your truth, you realize instantly that you are not alone in this fight. We are building a powerful community here of people who absolutely refuse to be ignored by a broken system anymore. Next, I implore you to think of one person you love who is over the age of 60. It could be your spouse sleeping right next to you, a sibling, or a dear friend who constantly complains about feeling exhausted despite doing everything the doctors tell them. Share this video with them right now. You are not just sending them a link on the internet, you are sending them a profound lifeline. You giving them this knowledge might be the exact reason they do not end up lying on my operating table tomorrow morning. We have successfully protected your heart from the midnight fluid shift, but your cardiovascular system is not completely safe just yet. Tomorrow morning, when you walk into your kitchen, there is a heavily praised everyday breakfast habit that is quietly turning your flexible arteries into rigid stone. You absolutely must know what this hidden danger is before you take your first bite tomorrow. Click the video appearing on your screen right now to uncover this morning threat and continue taking back complete control of your health. I am Dr. Marcus Caldwell, and I will be waiting for you in that next video.